Fortune.
So we have a lot of power picks still open. Of course, Corki for Yagao has been a big thing. Renekton let through too. So we haven't seen the Renekton this series. We've had some concerns about Renekton players here at the LPL, but it does help you win out that laning phase, which Shanji, on the whole, has been struggling in against Flandre. He's been picking up the Udib, partly because of that. It's a tank which can at least have a safe early game. That does leave open stuff like the Leona, though. That could be a very easy lock-in.
Love some of this change up in the draft. Little picks making it through. JDG have banned that pick every single first phase so far. See if Shanji makes good that it's finally open. Yagao has felt himself rise into the role, I guess you could say, on this Corki so far. Maybe not the strongest early start to the series, but he's been growing into it.
So, I think Leona is very, very powerful here. The stuff like Lily are open too as well, which is, of course, very, very powerful, and potentially could be a pick that could change this draft as well. NIP, they now see themselves locking in against a Nidalee instead. So, what's the answer? They take away potentially the Nidalee away from... Leyan is a Nidalee player himself, so it's a takeaway from him, and Kanavi
like
played a game with this before. He had a not great Nidalee game the last time in, though, and I think Leyan is very happy to slab in yet another Zyra game for him.
Let's go! Literally in 3 best of 5s. He's played this pick 11 times. Oh my goodness gracious. Anyways, the Solar Flare combo is definitely going to be alive and well for NIP. Love to see Zhuo on that one. Maybe not the Rell that he's earned those MVPs on, but still giving that direction to NIP so far as the Jayce is locked in for JDG.
Okay. So, Flandre, game 1, played that Jayce. On an individual level, he actually played very, very well. His laning phase was good versus Shanji. He was versus Nasus, not the strongest early laner, but still, Flandre going towards that does mean that you have 2 solo lanes that don't have setup really for the Nidalee, but you do have triple poke. Does mean that even if you miss the spears, maybe the shock blast or the rockets do hit later into the game, so that can be a long-range combination for JDG. They do have 0 setup right now, though, whereas NIP, they have themselves Renekton flank into a stun, they have themselves the Leona, and of course the Zyra can bring some slows and some roots to the table as well. Again, IP, they probably want to ban away, Alistair, maybe the Braum as well, if they really want to deal with the the Leona laning phase well, but they want to ban out setup champions first and foremost, I think, and the Jhin does fall into that category.
I am just really concerned about only having 1 go button for JDG. I think we find that a lot with LPL teams, and yes, some of the best teams, which JDG could be counted as one of them.
I'm concerned here, because I don't even think if they have 1 go button, they have 0 CC besides
there's
a Jayce
no way they don't grab somebody in the second phase. Like, there's no... that would be bold, Captain. But maybe we'll see as ADC is going to continue to be the ban phase. We do get the Smolder locked away, as well as the Ziggs towards Photic. It's the Varus, and obviously that Jhin you had mentioned earlier.
Yeah, so this is kind of weirdly twigging onto what you were saying earlier. Yeah, you're still probably going to, even if you double banned engage AD supports rather, you would have had 1 coming through. There are, however, now basically no setup AD carries. No Jhin, no Varus, no Ashe. You don't have any CC coming in from that AD carry role, so it will just be missing on the engaged duty. You can lock in something like a Rell or an Alistair, goes towards that Rell, which of course has been very powerful for both of these supports throughout their recent history as well. In IP, they get to choose themselves their AD carry, and of course their mid laner.
I gotta say, though, I'm getting so hyped. I'm literally shaking over here because the fact that it's a Game 5, Ruler has not had a good split. He used to be what literally made this team win. He was the bar that was set for ADs. The fact that he hovered the Xayah, the fact that we have him as the counter pick here into Photic, maybe they're giving him some more resources as the Kaisa will be locked in for NIP.
Rookie, what does he go towards here? He could take the Zeri. That means that you've actually taken away 2 AD carry options away from Ruler. It means that he is, again, really starved of options. What do you go for? You have the Rell. You could go towards that Xayah. There is a lot of engage coming through from, you know, someone like the Renekton going for a flank. You can deal with that. You don't really love playing the Xayah into the Leona, though, because her ult cooldown is lower than yours. You might be forced into it anyway, though. Elimination game, and we get Ruler's Xayah. I'm sure he'll pull out his own skin from Samsung Galaxy 2017, all those years ago. He has a skin for the champion. Let's see if he can use it to earn his keep here in the team and keep this team in playoffs in Game 5.
Now let's talk about these setups. There is that 1 go button for JDG. They have all the firepower you could ask for now, though, but so much weight is going to be on missing shoulders to get these fights going for them.
So, NIP, much easier team composition to play. However, JDG, they do have strong lane top side with this Jayce. They do have a strong Corki, and of course, Nidalee doesn't have the best setup, but if Nidalee just hits spears and does something early, JDG might be able to snowball. I do think JDG, this composition is very hard to play. I'm not sure I would have drafted that for them in a game 5, but if they do get themselves strong laning performance again, strong early game, they might just be able to snowball beyond their team composition's doubts and worries. NIP, opposite said for them. If you can get those early skirmishes, great. But as soon as it comes to the bigger 5v5s, you get Renekton and Leona engaging in the right places, they should be good as gold to go.
Game 5 on the line. Regionals qualifying here on the line for both teams. If NIP lose, they have no more hopes. If JDG lose, they got to rely on the other members of these playoffs to make sure they can get to that qualifier. Last spring, it went all 5, so you know we got to go all 5 again. Get loud as we head to Summoner's Rift in Zhuo. It's round 2 of the LPL playoffs and the race for the Silver Dragon Cup and all those wonderful international appearances. It's the campaign for Rookie versus a revenge split for JDG, all coming down to next game. Getting a little bit more gumption in those lungs there. Get a little bit more excited now that we've heard those silver scrapes. And everything, all these dreams, all these aspirations for 2024 on the line now. They've done this dance time and time again. The years of veterancy on this rift right now are countless. But it's not going to matter if you take a loss.
Yeah, so NIP, they lose this game and that's it. Their year is done. Regardless of who wins tomorrow from FPXAL, they will get ahead in terms of those championship points, and that will be the end of them. They need to get a good early game here. Shanji jumps on Super. NIP are here in force.
Oh, they're going to flash. Oh, Flandre, he's in trouble now. He's going to give over a kill to Leyan at first blood for the ninjas in Pyjamas.
Flandre will respawn in time to get a teleport towards top side, but giving that first kill over towards Leyan is going to give Zyra a very powerful first back of the game. AP junglers, their first back means so much to them. One of the negatives here, though, is the fact that Photic and Zhuo are going to be so late towards this bot lane. They're going to give over wave control over to Ruler and Missing and maybe drop some XP as well. Is this advantage for top side and the advantage for jungle going to be enough to stop this bot lane advantage really just ripping their heads off? A lot of this series has been about NIP's bot lane actually getting advantages versus Ruler and Missing. I don't know if they can do that now.
See if the Renekton is going to come in clutch for NIP. See if this Ruler Xayah skin is going to be enough energy in the tank to get them over the finish line here. Love to see everything colliding at this point, but Flandre will have a decent enough job of the ranged into melee topside matchup here.
And also, it's flash to no flash. So, in terms of that level 1, great that you get the dopamine of that level 1 kill, but you don't have flash, your wave's getting crashed, and Shanji still hasn't been able to teleport back to lane, so he's going to eat kind of the losing lane matchup for now. He'll be fine on his first back, but I think the bigger thing is that Zhuo committed 2 summoners into killing Flandre as well, so it was 3 summoners used by the side of NIP to get that kill. Does mean that wave control goes to Ruler and Missing, and Ruler, of course, as we were saying, coming out of that draft, is using his own skin on the Xayah from all those years ago to try and bring themselves across the line. Goes towards the Xayah. It has typically been his fallback champion, and I think now in this game, they actually have themselves a much more calm early start to this lane. That is going to be a good sign for JDG.
I want to take a look at the repathing here. Leyan is actually playing a little bit with the pathing style. He did skip those Gromps on top side, maybe going back up towards this side of the map to try to stop some of this pressure that Flandre is having over Shanji.
Problem there is, so yes, I think it's great to regank that lane if you can find a success there. No flash on Renekton though. Remember that Shanji flashed for that stun at the level 1. Also means you're leaving this bot lane under the bus, really. It will be fine in terms of picking up that CS. And you can also see that it looks like Flandre put a red ping in there. I think he ended up seeing that one out. Flandre completely fine to just keep putting that wave in. And I think Flandre very, very happy despite losing that first kill. He didn't blow the flash and his laning phase is still fine.
Junglers trading sides of the map. Now Rookie going forward does use his dash. Leyan stopped his back here. That's actually so big because now Rookie can continue to play forward as he sees Kanavi. This jungle matchup has been such a big heartbeat for this series, and we're going to see them trade blow for blow.
Yeah, I think that particularly that jungle matchup has been so critical because it affects that early game, which is so big. JDG, when they don't have that early game advantage, they still look for the same team fights, but they just don't quite have the stats to see them out in the same way. Big 3v3 in mid lane now. Are we really going to get a big fight over this? No, not just about. It's just about crashing in that wave and getting that first back of the game in for these mid laners.
And that is why we're seeing so much prevalence around willing to commit to these fights, is because the early game has really decided the control of the game in every single one we've seen to this point all the way to 5. Love to see JDG staying proactive, though. Missing and Zhuo out on the map. We will not see them bot lane for some time, I'm sure, and both teams looking for those early advantages.
Missing has Ignite. Shanji doesn't have level 6 and he's off HP. There was a dive threat there, but I think JDG, with the knowledge of Leyan and Zhuo also being active on the map, kind of staves that one off. Jungle support movements so important between any Pro League of Legends team, but I think particularly in this series when it has been about the team that gets that first foot in the door has typically managed to walk away with that game. The early game advantages being so strong. Moments like that where actually Leyan and Zhuo managed to stop Kanavi and Missing making the big play keeps that timer ticking just a little bit longer before we find where that first really crucial hammer blow lands.
Love we're getting a little spotlight on Ruler. He was not having a good time. And not only in this series, but he has not been the same Ruler, I feel like, that you can recall back to 2023. But in these last couple games, we've seen him really hone in on the focus that he has to be a guy on this team that represents strongly.
Yeah, Ruler last year was largely touted as the best AD carry in the world. Does have a cleanse, has Missing coming down, blows the cleanse early.
They might actually take the fight back there as the crash down comes through on Photic. Now Missing's in a little bit of trouble, gonna get the Blade Caller back, but Missing realizes that Leyan had an angle there and will just sacrifice his life. It goes over to Photic too in the end. Now in mid lane, Rookie. He's looking for the solo kill onto Yagao, but can't find it.
Use that lightning crash, gets a load of health out of Yagao, but JDG, this is getting a little bit worrying for them. They have a team comp with very little setup. If they give up too many early kills, if they give up too much too early gold, it's going to be really hard to play this composition. They have a lot of poke, but basically no setup. NIP have a much easier pick combo to play around, so NIP getting 2 early kills and getting themselves an early gold lead is very good for the Ninjas in Pyjamas.
Last time around, I feel like Kanavi was struggling to find entrances into the fights as this Nidalee. Still, if he can continue to be a nuisance here to Leyan's pathing, might be able to keep up with him in that regard. Still been a JDG that have missed a couple of their early opportunities. Now looking at the grub spawn, this might be another one for them to strike. Leyan is level 6 now though, Stranglethorn completed, and gonna try to combo it underneath there as Yagao trying to fight off Rookie. Double knockup ends up coming through, but now NIP, they've used a lot of their tools, but they'll move back over to the grubs.
Yeah, Kanavi not quite able to bring the same amount of value as Leyan there. That was a huge Stranglethorns. See, potentially a 1v1 between these two AD carries as well. Both have ultimates. We might have ourselves some multi-fights across the map. But Root hits onto Missing. Not going to lead on to too much else. These grubs really in the eye of both teams.
Dude, both teams are realizing how lopsided these games become if you give over a little bit of an advantage. And so far, it's NIP looking to move Shanji over first before Flandre. Now going for the flash play out of Missing. Missing getting low. Missing going down to Zhuo. And now Kanavi's locked down. Rookie going to dodge out of the rock barrage. Yagao doesn't have any mana. He does have flash, though. The burn, the plant.
Oh!
Pricks him right in the booty as Leyan takes another one. It's 4-0 start for NIP.
Yeah, Yagao finding out that this jungle replacement for NIP has some thorns to show him. 2-0-2 on the champion. He's been spamming all the time for the Ninjas in Pyjamas. JDG do get themselves the grubs, but they lose themselves more kills. So, what's going to be more important here for JDG? The fact that they're losing this immediate gold reward, which you said is very important. They want to get ahead to play out this composition. All those grubs and the value they can get after this point. Shanji commits another flash. He has himself that empowered W, gets himself an incredible amount of damage early on that Renekton can do with that triple auto attack with the press the attack build. Leyan manages to come around too, so 2 kills very quickly for NIP and JDG. They need to be so careful giving over that kind of gold. You can see how important people in the back room for NIP think that was.
Any momentum is strong momentum here in this series, as it's been bend or break here every single time. This NIP team, I still am completely taken aback. The fact that they are here in 5 games when they've had this kind of split so far. It's been rough to watch. but it only matters when it matters most, and this team just turns alive in the playoffs for some reason this year.
That happened in spring, happening again in summer, and you know what? I'm absolutely not going to fault anyone for having doubts about NIP. I was one of those people as well, but getting towards this 5th game, showcasing that they can absolutely prep for these best of 5s and show us something special. JDG, they're going to have to show us something special beyond this point. They're behind 1,500 gold, and as we've been saying, really think they need the gold lead. This is not an easy comp to play, and JDG, if they want their story to continue as well and have their destiny in their own hands, they need to win this game. If they lose here, they're not out of the regional qualifiers, but there is a chance that they can be, depending on other results through the playoffs. That would be a very inglorious end for JDG in this year. They went from being the 3-peat champions to this year missing out on the finals in spring and potentially going out even just in round 2 here. It'd be massive nosedive for this team with so many legendary players on it. You're going to have to find something special here now against the early gold lead of NIP.
Try to stop any of those advantages from growing too much. The other thing is they haven't really been able to use this pressure on bot side. They haven't really gotten any pressure to that matter. It's 10 minutes in. We haven't had a single dragon take, so no big stacking in that regard. It's going to be late game if we do get to that, where Kanavi maybe not going to have as much of an influence. And the grubs are going to be coming up soon that JDG themselves, are going to want to try to grab. But Kanavi is pressuring over this dragon.
As jungle is just around the top side of this play, trying to see what's happening with mid prior. Looks like both mid laners are clearing the wave right now. They can move once again. It's going to be a bit of a diffusing of the situation down there. Flandre doing okay in this individual 1v1. Haven't really seen the top laners spread that pressure too much. Well, we have from Shanji. He had that one flash out, but I want to see whether Flandre can get himself online with that poke build nice and early. Gets himself that Dirk up very early too. So JDG waiting really to see where that next burst of damage for themselves is going to come through. They do have a potent poke composition, but that lack of setup is going to hurt them, as we said, to death already.
Rookie's just playing with Kanavi, by the way. Just dodging out there. Had no rights being that far up. Still just dodging out of the spears means there's no real follow-through by Kanavi. Still no presence around the dragons, and by this time, that time's come and gone, because the grubs are going to be about 50 seconds, and that takes very much more priority for JDG. They can try to get this damage potential back after the fights go down their way. It could be huge to open up the base of NIP.
Kanavi on this Nidalee, walking up, using those traps to do pseudo-warding, I suppose. His last Nidalee game wasn't really that much of a contest because his lane's lost and he couldn't end up really walking into his own jungle. He got shut down. This time it's still not a great early game, but maybe he still has something left to play around. Nidalee, just one spear out of Fog of War could really change something in this early game for JDG. NIP, what are they going to do about these grubs spawning? Coming up in 10 seconds. They're here first. Ruler has backed and he gets himself his many components as he can afford for this time being. Where are JDG going to really put themselves on the map? What do they want to contest?
Looks like they're going to give this side of the map right now, actually, though Kanavi is on his way, as I say that, onto this top side, though TP will be utilized now to come rejoin this fight. Rookie coming with the Blade of the Rune King completed there, does have a decent amount of damage, but Shanji could not close the gap there, but they will have presence from this top side, so NIP start up these grubs, and JDG really have no answer.
Flandre could teleport back in, but he's not going to be there in time. Kanavi trying to steal
one. Oh, no, he didn't. He didn't even get it. Kanavi, he's down. Photic takes him out at NIP. They're making plays all over.
Rookie trying to fire through that turret. Takes a couple of tower shots. Flandre teleporting away. Can Shanji get to him? No, he can't. Flandre gets himself a bit of a Soaz escape, but is not what JDG wanted from that top side. Once again, shut out of those kills. 5-0. On that kill score right now, and more gold going over to the side of the Ninjas in Pyjamas. They are the underdogs, but they are here in Game 5. It doesn't matter. This is a glorified best of one now, and NIP are walking away with yet another strong early game versus JDG, which has been a real kicker here. JDG, they have not been able to get off the ground early consistently at all this series.
They're going to try to get the stacking going their way and get some of these plates down for Yagao. He had a big step up last couple of games now as well. And still trying to get him some resources, get this stacking going, giving themselves something to think about later on. Now Shanji, realizing there's a play coming his way, will back off. This could be the first turret, although Rookie is on this top side as well. It is going to go the way of JDG, so they will get that extra bit of gold immediately traded right back, though. And there's Rift Herald coming up on the map, so you know the fighting ain't stopping.
So, first turret goes over to JDG, but the turret on top side for NIP is killed before the plates go down. Kanavi's going to get himself a quick camp steal away if possible. Going towards these grubs again. If you're playing defensively on the Nidalee, you really start to feel some of the problems of this champion. You cannot ever really afford to get CC'd with any sort of follow-up nearby. He goes down very easily trying to greed for that Herald, for that grub steal. Doesn't manage to get it. It's 3 for 3 in them right now. And once again, this Nidalee early game hasn't been fantastic.
Feels a little bad now, though. Feeling bad as well as Zhuo as he gets the feathers pulled right back on him. Flandre claims the kill, and now Leyan cannot do the Rift Herald. JDG have come in full force. They got their first kill on the board, and now more objectives going their way.
Yeah, I'm going to find Leyan out as well. He has the Stranglethorns. This could be quite dangerous.
Yeah, that was bold there, but he does make it out alive. Does also get the Stranglethorn out of Leyan.
Means that there's no contest coming through onto the Herald at all. But it was very unlikely anyway with Zhuo going down, but NIP now see themselves lose that first kill, lose that Herald. Shanji is going to get himself that turret in that bot side, so they get an objective on the other side, but at least JDG get themselves a way to potentially break open one of these towers across the map as well. I don't really think it's going to be able to do much on mid lane, because I don't think either mid lane has been able to hit mid lane turret that much in this game so far. Earlier in the game, we saw the classic 3-man mid lane play with jungle support coming there as well, and it does mean that the Herald is going to make it. Ruler. Ruler. That's not it. That's going to be a bit of a swing and a miss from him. Big ultimate usage. He's laughing. Look, guys, as we said, a lot of these players are veterans. They've seen world championships. They've seen domestic titles. They've seen it all. They've apparently also seen misused ults in a Game 5 elimination match. Come on, Ruler.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to lie. I mean, that's a little bit of the pressure, right? Like, we talked about so much how much weight JDG have put on themselves because of the lackluster finish in their eyes of not making it to finals, not making it to internationals in spring. I mean, that was like a slap to the face to a lot of them when you're watching the content, when you hear them talk about it. And little moments like that maybe come back to slap you back in the face if this game goes the way that NIP wanted to so far. They have lost a little bit of that big lead they had, just cutting it down to under 1,000 now. And now cutting it down to even more so, as it's a dead even game. Yep.
Cole just cashed in, which helped a little bit there. So, even gold game, that's important. We're saying that JDG, if they let this gold get out of hand, and honestly, if they didn't have that gold advantage, things get very hard for them. As we keep repeating, they don't really have that much setup. That doesn't have to be the end of things. If NIP don't close the distance, you can't just keep throwing skill shots out. So it is on NIP to make sure that they can stop some of this poke coming through. That might change later on with Kaisa getting that poke, but still, JDG bringing that gold closer is absolutely something they need to do. They need that fighting potential. Shanji teleporting onto Yagao, but both the solo laners of JDG been very, very on it today in terms of their defensive teleports, making sure that NIP don't get random kills in side lanes.
Now they bring all 5 to bear here in mid lane. They're trying to push this wave down and get the Herald into the charge. Shanji going to take a decent chunk on the back end there. Takes the spear to the back. The charge not going to get the turret. Does get a good chunking on it. And nothing else. Just a staring contest in mid lane. Has no objective for another minute and 20 in the Dragon.
Yeah, you can see JDG. That could be something they use later on. Siege composition. If they have any way to push in a wave or force NIP to stand in one area of the map, that is going to be very, very powerful. As long as they hit enough skill shots and NIP don't engage, that can be very, very cool for them. NIP on the other side, once they get the Kaisa to AP upgrade, which should be at the 3 items when he builds the Nash's Tooth, it's a long way off. They can contend a little bit in that. But until then, they're realistically looking to shove out waves quickly, get themselves a Leona combo or a Zyra catch on someone, and then have everyone else fly into the play. Zeri over the wall, Kaisa in with the ult. We'll see if they can catch out JDG. That's realistically how these team compositions can play out. And we're even enough in this game that the next big play could really determine the whole course of this series. We know how quickly these games are snowballed once a lead is established.
We saw the resets come through from JDG. They want to try to get back on the map before this potential dragon spawns. Get that stacking going would be nice. NIP want to even that up now, though, as they do have Leyan and Zhuo going for a bit of an aggressive play. JDG maybe losing a little bit of that presence on the bot side that they were looking to gain. But now it will be NIP's Dragon to call.
Shanji pushing in towards that bot side. Leyan and Zhuo make sure he's on the strong side for that point. Rookie, therefore, is on the weak side, though, and Missing does have Flash. They see Rookie over here. They see each other. That's less ships in the night. That's just more, hey, how you doing there as he crossed the street. Does mean that Flandre has the ability to push up into this turret.
He's going to take that outer turret as NIP even up the Dragons. We'll have a Chemtech Soul on the Rift, so maybe some cool Blast Cone gameplay coming through here, as we've seen in the playoffs so far. But that's where I also want to talk a little bit about the entrances that JDG have here. They have so much poke, they have so much standoff damage, and this has been a team that we know has loved to hands diff people. But that execution, it's going to be hard to execute as time goes on in this one, so they got to keep as much of the head on their shoulders as they can.
Yeah, the bonus of JDG, individual excellence can absolutely win this game still. They have a lot of champions which can potentially outwin a team fight in the right situation. You know, if you overdive into a Xayah, the poke comes through, there's some things you can go towards that. The negative is it's just really hard to do that if NIP pull off their combo well. So, things which I'm looking for in the next big fights to come through. One of the big things about Ruler on Xayah is that when he has all of his summoners available and his ult, he's incredibly good at punishing teams that try and engage onto him. He's very good at positioning aggressively and getting the most out of it. So, NIP, 1, can they take away those tools from Ruler? And 2, while they are trying to take away those tools from Ruler, can they not die at the same time? That's a big thing I want to see out of NIP first and foremost. But as for the moment, it hasn't really come down to any sort of 5v5. It has been about pushing in side lanes, trying to get down vision, and trying to navigate the map.
It's crazy how many times I've seen myself just watching Ruler navigate a team fight, bring all 5 people towards him, and just blade collar them all to death. See if he can do that again in a moment that matters the most for JDG and for NIP. Those track records, all that history, all that veterancy, it needs to be pulled on now. And we see a pretty steady gameplay. Both teams extremely respectful of each other. We are on second items for major carries now. We're at least getting close.
Yeah, Ruler hasn't pressed R in a little while now, so he's actually got that back. His only ult of the game was that fat thing. One hasn't led to anything else. We see one of those, I don't know, like souped up energy drink blast cones on the top side there. Shanji is on weak side, just needs to be a little bit careful there. Nidalee is at still their point of power for now. They have that one item. Will start to fall apart a little bit later, but still for now, Kanavi in the split map stays very, very powerful. It's a tense game 5. It's not been all action. It has been very close in that gold. And I kind of like that in some ways. It's that slow burn where you get that chance to consider what it means to these teams, consider what it means to these players. Kanavi, leader of his team for so long. Be so sad to see him potentially miss out on later stage in this playoffs, potentially miss out even on regionals if other results go poorly against him. But on the other side for NIP, we keep saying it about this team. It became a bit of a meme. Can Rookie make worlds? Well, he can do if he wins this series.
So
if
long,
he doesn't,
man.
It's the end of that road. This is the great and terrible thing about LPL playoffs. There are a million teams involved. We have 10 teams in these playoffs. And so many of them have these old gods, these old veterans, which really do deserve that last chance to showcase their skill. Well, not even the last chance, but another chance to showcase their skill. But you can only have so many teams coming through from this region. We have so much stacked talent here.
The road to the Silver Dragon Cup is paved in blood and tears, and so far, it's been a little bit of that. We've had some good games, we've had a lot of fivers, and now we have another one here as NIP still dead even, still setting up around this top side of the map. It's all about when these damage spikes are going to be coming through. We have those 2 items that I was mentioning for everybody, and NIP looking for picks potentially in the in-betweens, and that's something that maybe that game 4 had a little bit more of than this game number 5 does, is both teams just kind of trying to muscle their way into these moments without objectives.
You can see that a lot of these are very opportunistic players. They're not necessarily the highest percentage opportunity to make things work, but what that means is that JDG, now with the Solar Flare being down for NIP, can look for this poke a bit more aggressively. Look, Yagao, Valkyrieing forwards, knowing that there is a lot less of that combo coming in from NIP. Next time we see that Solar Flare up, Zhuo is going to have to use that more effectively. Otherwise, you miss that skill, JDG can absolutely start returning fire with their long-range skill shots.
You can see immediately, as soon as he used that, they all just turned, like fangs
let's
boy,
go,
like, go!
Let's skedaddle.
You gotta get him.
Okay, so, Dragon up in 40 seconds, that's the next big thing as well. 1 dragon apiece, we can see these teams give it up, but again, we'll have that ultimate from Zhuo coming up soon enough. It really is about, can JDG land a lot of those long-range skill shots before NIP get theirs, and actually it's the Baron start from NIP before that Dragon's even thought about.
This is the power of the Zyra, just gonna pull every resource from JDG. They get the TP out there from Yagao as well. Now moving back towards this mid lane prio.
So, NIP get themselves a teleport for that. That's nice for them. I don't think it's going to matter that much for the Dragon fight. Yagao's probably going to stay with the group right now, so that teleport isn't going to mean that much. Shanji pushing in bot side, that's 1 pushing wave. NIP do actually have the wave advantage across the map right now. JDG don't have great wards on the bot side. Might help NIP look for that big engage they're looking for. Shanji has flash, has ult. He could be a big engage for that flank threat in the next fight.
JDG feeling a little bit hesitant to move down towards this bottom side vision. As the Dragon already started up by NIP, they will just give that one over. So some of the stacking going the way of the ninjas in Pyjamas. JDG not going to threaten anything on this top side. Still have a ton of vision over here if NIP want to come over and check just in case they don't know that the Baron is not being taken. Solar Flare coming out on the double. That's a big cleanse being used. Now Kanavi will go golden, buying a lot of time with that Seekers. A little bit of damage back as well as the poke starting to come through. Leyan now down half health too.
So, I mean, Ruler loses that cleanse. What did we say about looking for Ruler's summoners? Try and get them out without dying. Okay, that's one thing. You also get that flash away from Kanavi as well. I consider that a... That's an advantageous play for Zhuo. That's a better Solar Flare than particularly that last one. Next time that's up, let's see if we can use that onto Ruler well enough. However, with the Solar Flare still down, JDG used this time window to start the Baron.
Ruler was the first one here, first and foremost. He's taking a little bit of the reins in his own hands here. Leyan trying to get over. We've seen this go down. Missing going to stop him from even getting close to the Baron. At 25 minutes goes the way of JDG. They will lose Missing for it in the end, but that is worth, my friend.
Yeah, I mean, NIP, they were looking for taking away the summoners from these carries. Yeah, but then you don't have the Solar Flare for the big fight. JDG realize this, and they take that Baron. NIP trying to slap back with the mid lane turret. I think they can get it at least.
Bloodied and not beaten. Both these teams giving it their all here. All the presence, all the pressure, the little micro decisions coming in clutch. NIP, they will get themselves a little bit back there.
So, JDG have the Baron buff. If they can start pushing in waves to set up a siege, this composition could do some real damage in the next few minutes. But can they get to that point? NIP, they still have a flash on Shanji, and if you're pushing too fast, there's a nice secure of his own grump there for Kanavi. If JDG push in too fast, there is a chance that they could walk into an enemy flank, they could walk into Shanji, coming out of Fog of War Zhuo with his Solar Flare coming back up. JDG, they would really like to use this moment with the Baron buff, though, to start pushing out the map and see if they can get this siege composition doing a lot of work with those long-range skill shots.
They at least want to get this outer tower and mid lane down, because then it just gives you so much more free access to the follow-up team fights as well. If they can get that siege down, but Photic doing a wonderful job of clearing so far. He's also going to be opting into the AP style to finish it off as well. Going to have some of the poke to return on his own. JDG still looking for things in these in-betweens. His Ruler, he's up a little bit, does have his Flash and Featherstorm available. JDG looking to crash on this outer turret. They are getting traded, though, by Rookie in the side lane, but maybe they can make it worse.
I mean, you've got Flandre here now. He's part of that siege. You've got, of course, the Kanavi Spears as well. They go full out of that mid lane. You go back towards their top side jungle. So, yes, Rookie does get that push in towards top side. Doesn't lead into that much after that point. JDG at least gets some work done. And this is what we're talking about. JDG getting that Baron buff. If they manage to actually set up a shooting gallery like that, it is a very powerful composition. That Baron buff could have been much more painful for NIP, but at least they stopped JDG from pushing in all of their waves.
And we just have a moment to think about a little bit of the trajectory, the teamwork that we've seen from these teams, the journey to this point. NIP, they made it out of that placement stage. Yeah, they made it to the Ascend group, but then they didn't win a single series when they were supposed to be the battle of the best in the LPL in this new format. And now they find themselves 3 best-of-5s in and feeling like the team that should have been there from the start.
NIP. I'm glad they've at least shown this. Even if they were to lose this game, I think they would have shown that they had that growth. Of course, it wouldn't be enough for them. It won't be enough for those Rookie fans either. They will not want this story to end here. But then again, no team really does in an elimination match. JDG, I feel like they've actually done quite a good job of making sure that NIP haven't just picked them apart. I think they are the team which needs to be really afraid of the engage this time around. Another thing that we talked about just before that Baron, and this ties into what we were just saying there. Ruler lost his cleanse, but the engage hasn't come through in a time window to punish him while it was down. Ruler now has all of his summoners again, and that means that NIP will once again have to see whether Zhuo can buy some of these big summoner spells from JDG, maybe in a 2-part play to punish them while they're down.
As we crest over to this 50-minute timer, 50-second timer rather, for the Dragon. I will say, Rookie and Photic, they've completed their 3rd items. They're going to have a lot of strength. We're still getting the back completed by Yagao to join them in that precipice here, but it's going to be completely centered on this Dragon fight. Mortal reminder there completed.
Big pass fight for Yagao, of course, on the current patch. Basically the same as Lord Dominic's regards, only a 10 AD difference and the Grievous Wounds difference between them. 20 seconds till Dragon, though. Will that make a difference? JDG, they have themselves some good poke, but what did we say? The Kaisa can do the same now. It is going to be long-range skill shot gallery. Rookie has Bloodthirster. He can heal up and deny some of it, but that skill shot accuracy could really help these HP bars get into the advantage before the fight starts in earnest.
It's a bullet hell for NIP, but if they can find their in, that is the moment that they can strike, but they have to find it. We said missing is the only engage tool for JDG, so they want to keep you at range. They want to keep you at this distance, but Yagao getting traded a little bit heavy. Now NIP stepping up. The Dragon going low. Is this really what you want to give it all for? Going in, it's Kanavi! Stranglethorn goes through. That's the Zong is used as well by Kanavi. As NIP now reset back off the fight. They did not get what they came for, and they lose the back end because the poke is just too much to deal with.
Yeah, you see the HP boss. That wasn't a proper fight, and yet Zhuo is almost dead. Shanji almost dead as well after propping that ultimate. JDG, they managed to just stop NIP looking for the engage angles. You know what, considering these drafts, I thought NIP would have easier time looking for the combos. That hasn't been the case at all. JDG have actually been making it quite hard a job for NIP to find those solar flares in the right place. And it means that JDG, yes, they are 6-1, but they are still ahead in gold, and now they're even in dragons. And at this point now, when you're getting towards huge items on Jayce, you're getting towards the point where, look, if Nidalee is the only skill shot, she's bad. If you got multiple skill shots, one of them's going to hit at some point. This is a powerful point in the competition for JDG. This could be a very, very tense kind of like just shootout late game where everyone's trying to hit the late game skill shots.
It's so difficult in these moments. So much tension, so much on the line. One little slip up can mean the difference between elation or sorrow. And now we've seen that JDG, they're entering the comfort zone, it feels like. They're entering a confident portion of it as well. Shanji will end up TPing away, trying to get to safety.
We've had 3 out of our 4 solo laners do those teleports. Just teleport the heck out of there, get somewhere else. Shanji escapes, but Flandre and Yagao were the first 2 to do that in this game. It will be that summoner spell down. That will be down for the next Dragon Spawn, and of course the Baron as well. Shanji not able to stick in that bot lane, which means that Rookie has to do it as well. JDG managing to force that wave in, giving themselves that one pushing side lane to give themselves a little bit of map pressure to contain the map.
And you feel JDG, they realize the strength that they have is finding those big pickouts, staving off, finding a lot of those reserved fights. And it's worked out very well for them so far. You have to think, though, if NIP are able to catch one, then they can get that catch out going. They can get that snowball rolling. It's an either team game at this point. We have to see who's going to use a little bit of the trump card of this Baron play here.
Yeah, so we have a lot of Bloodthirsters built up as well. That'll help the extended plays for either side. The Xayah, the Zeri both having that. There's a heal from the Nidalee, also known as the Jungle Soraka as well. So that'll definitely help in terms of some of the sustain in these longer poke siege fights. JDG, they land something onto Leyan there as well. Of course, you can just keep aggroing that Baron over the wall. It is set up. Plants come through. Not that many plants, though. The Baron's still going down, though.
Pretty healthy, though. Okay, they got Ruler. Gets the Blade Caller, though. We've seen this time and time again. Now Shanji in trouble. Oh, my God. He does so much damage. Derek's Gate's going to be popped. Look at Leyan. He's getting low. Shanji going low, too. Yagao tries to go forward. Yagao oversteps. He's got damage, though. He takes down Zhuo. It's going to be a trade, though. Photic now has some damage of his own. We get some heavy, heavy fighting between these two teams. It will be the trade of 1-to-1, but health bars are very hurt. Leyan, he has like 200 health. He's going for this one.
Yeah, he's going to get aggro by the Baron as well. Some of that extra damage coming through. They can't stick around for this, and there are wards from JDG. I think JDG, on the whole, will take that play. Ruler does lose his flash, which is a big, big problem, though. They do stop that Baron going over. That's not necessarily what they would have wanted. NIP get the flash out of him. They get the flash and the kill onto Yagao as well. And, of course, those summoners will not be available for the Dragon fight or the next big objective fight that comes through. So, NIP, JDG, I'm not willing to call that like a one play either way. We need to see the implication of those summoners being down in the next shooter and the next big pick attempt that comes through from either of these teams.
So much riding on these potential last fights, these potential next fights. NIP, they want to try to force over this top side. Dragon is coming up in less than a minute. Would be soul point for either side. NIP, though, can pull some presence over here. They could maybe get the TP from Yagao. They do have Leyan on the Zyra. We know this pick can just burn down this big purple worm.
So he hasn't gone for the Rylai's, which doesn't exactly help with the poke, but the Shadow Flame very, very good at killing people who are low HP. So Leyan, watch out for his low HP burst, might catch someone off guard, and anything which catches people off guard in a Game 5 like this can be valuable. Dragon in 30 seconds, flash on missing, he can look for a big engage. He is the only big engage for JDG, but they do have that poke. First shot blast lands, and that's going to start racking up the HP bar advantages. Here comes Rookie.
Oh, they try to get Ruler. They realize he didn't have any summoners. He still has the Featherstorm. He is stepping up. Now that poke coming in. Stranglethorn onto Missing. Missing gets out, though. The crashdown gets him to safety. Photic! He's going for the play on Missing. Missing's gone. Now they follow through. They have their own poke now, and Photic representing for his team. NIP, they're going to push onto the Baron.
Yeah, Missing not being there to help the team fight engage means that NIP have a free run at this Baron finally. There's a lot of HP bars down on JDG. They should be able to get themselves that Dragon and contain in trade for that Baron, but NIP will definitely take that one. The Baron means that they can kind of hide behind their minions, stop that siege coming in later from JDG, and this is a very close back and forth Game 5. We have not had ourselves a significant lead in this game. It has now got towards the late game without the soul being claimed. 5 Dragons in between both teams in a Game 5 elimination match. I'm sorry for the fans watching this, this is getting your heartbeat beyond those safe levels, but as an LPL fan, you just gotta love it.
You better be used to it at this point. This league is nothing but a wonder to watch. These teams putting everything on the line. The journeys of both these in such stark contrasts, and the little things meaning so much for your entire season.
I can see that, once again, trying to punish the fact that Ruler didn't have that flash. Maybe flash forces cleanses and all. Couldn't quite manage to do that, but in the ensuing fight, Missing just oversteps a little bit. He goes down. Photic, 5-0. By the way, Photic, need we mention how good a series he's had overall this time around. The 2v2 didn't necessarily go the same way. Zhuo does catch out Missing. He has flash. Don't think there's going to be much from that at the end of that play, but Photic getting towards late game Kaisa. We have criticized Photic a lot, and we have mentioned that a lot in this series. Photic, throughout this year, has not really been a fantastic AD carry of the V5 era of past, but in this series, he has, on the whole, really given a fight towards Ruler and Missing.
Him and Rookie, the core components, that wonderful regular season run by that V5 roster. Finally seeing these two guys perform to the expectations we set for themselves. And now a little bit of a lead for NIP, but they got to close it down. JDG are not ones to go any kind of silently into the night. And with a split that has been all about making up for what Spring didn't give them, this is the moment that it needs to all come to a head.
So, NIP, really big items coming in from that. Well, look, it's big items for everyone, folks. We're in a hyper late game, but I think particularly the Infinity Edge for Zeri opens up another poke option, of course, for NIP2. Your W, when it goes through a wall, auto crits. The Infinity Edge buffs that crit as well, so the W is doing significant damage if it hits onto the right target alongside that slow. The minions being buffed up allows you to, again, hide behind those minions, deny the enemy poke, look for your own, and look for burst like that.
They do end up getting his flash out. That's big. The siege going to continue. Ruler was trying to clear the minions, but can't do it. A tier 2 falls now. JDG, they're being pushed into their base. There's still about 30 seconds on this Baron buff here, Nymaera.
Don't know if this is going to be leading to the breaking of the base, but it's definitely close enough to it. A lot of gold been built up from NIP, over 4,000 in the Baron power play. And JDG, they've not been able to cross map. They can't send anyone towards that top lane. They've just had to sit here and kind of just eat this wave push over and over. JDG waiting for their moment.
They saw Missing over the wall. Oh my god, that was like 2 deer in headlights there. Both Zhuo and Missing. Who's going to go in first? As it might just be the one that goes in first that loses everything.
Channeling that empowered recall just with the last second of the Baron. So, now there is a lead for NIP, but it's a lead at 37 minutes. No, 69,000 compared to 65,000. It's not that much in terms of percentage gold differences. Let's have a look at some of these items again. We already talked about those Bloodthirsters earlier into the game. Yagao just gets himself one here as well. That does nullify some of the poke coming through. It won't help people like particularly Leyan. It won't protect people particularly like Flandre as well. At least Flandre has himself that Nidalee who will be getting some decent heals with the AP stacking up, and especially with that Primal Surge coming through. That could be so important. That poke really has been the tail of this game. Not necessarily those big cataclysmic engages. It's about your sidesteps, about your skill shot accuracy, and your positioning on the map to make them easier or harder for the enemy team.
It's all about those little things. And now that everybody's full build, Zhuo is just looking for it every time because they actually have a lot of follow through with Photic. I mean, he can absolutely obliterate somebody if he goes in on them with the killer instinct, especially.
He should be looking for it. He should be looking for it every time. The whole thing about Leona into Zyra is that your ult is lower cooldown than theirs. Doesn't blow the cleanse or the ult this time. The Ruler's been really good at being disciplined, not giving it for free, making sure that NIP don't get that ability to just play off of that second ult cooldown. Makes it a lot harder for NIP to engage.
Everything with a little bit of pressure on mid. Going to be moved down towards VODS rookie. He's extending a little bit, trying to get the siege there onto the turret. But it's crazy to think that NIP have the better hand here when it's been since 2019. That rookie hasn't been back to the international stage, at least in the world's regard. And now it's also NIP trying to make their regional qualifying at least a dream and a hope.
Rookie pushing in that bot side, Tony hawking his way over those walls to safety, skating his way back towards his team. Leyan is on vision. That is dangerous. That poke could be so dangerous. Missing doesn't have flash, luckily for him. The poke, watch out for that poke. Watch out to see who it lands onto. Dragon spawning now. JDG are first in River. This would be Chemsec Soul for them.
NIP a bit split. Oh, where's his JDG? Stranglethorn pop there. Shanji, Dominus is ready to go. Locked and loaded. The Croc, he finds it. Ruler's gone. Everything from JDG is falling apart. NIP from the brink of nowhere, from a devastating summer split, are going for the end.
The Ruler's crown may have just been broken once again. From 3-peat champions to missing out on internationals, potentially for the entire year. NIP from nowhere bring out this series as they look potentially for an end.
They're surrounding. I can feel everything. All the disappointment for JDG. It's starting to stack up. They were denied in 2022. They were denied in 2023. And they lost their best of 5 against JDG in spring. They will right the wrongs. An elation for the ninjas in pajamas as they move on to face Weibo.
NIP do not win a best of 3 in their Ascension group, but who gives a damn when you start winning the best of 5 afterwards? They get themselves through those Nevada groups, they get themselves through LGD. That was something, and you think, okay, that's all right. You're going through the struggling teams. They just beat JDG and got their revenge for spring. JDG knock out NIP in spring. They return the favor in summer. Kanavi, Yagao, Ruler, so many of these legendary players. They are knocked out in round 2 of playoffs. There is still that chance they make it to regionals, but it will depend on the results of the other best of 5s on the other side of the bracket, depending on who can knock them down a peg. JDG, what a fall from grace, but NIP, they come from the shadows, and what a series. What a 5-game banger from them.
Either way, I was going to have tears in my eyes. Either way, it was going to end in elation and heartbreak. And for JDG, it is the latter. For JDG, it is out of their hands.